if you were with us today, and hopefully if there was a bit of sun, you're looking at the Maynooth University Library, and we have it across all of our university publications, etc. It's a particularly lovely space that students who come to study with us will become very familiar with over the years. My name, again, you can see writ large there is Kay Mitchell. It's k.mitchell@mu.ie is my email. You also have the admissions office email there writ large, and of course we're available to you on our Ask system, on web chat, on the website, you through Instagram, we had takeovers and all that all of the time. So all of the usual media kind of connects, use those to stay in contact with us and our students. And we also have a system where you can get in and chat to our students on the student live area as well. So we're here to assist and help you right through the year. And even though schools are closed, the universities certainly aren't, and the administrative offices are always open and very happy to take any queries or questions you might have. So today the topic really of conversation, of course, is the arts and looking at the arts degree itself. Now, arts is a curious entity because a lot of people don't understand what it is. So we look at the degree structure. It doesn't have a title, so it scares a lot of people in terms of what is arts all about type of scenario. But the whole idea, it is there to give you a choice, an opportunity to choose what they call your own portfolio. In plain English, you get an opportunity to choose the subjects you're most interested in. For some people, it'll be very vocational and career driven. For others, they're less sure. So what's unique about arts, and I know, Nicole, you're going to touch on this later on, is that all students who come in and begin the degree will actually have an opportunity during the period of time in the initial 4 weeks to go to lots and lots of lectures. Even if they're not physically on campus, they can do so online by asking the department's permission to go in and sit in on lectures on their Moodle system. So you have an incredible choice. So once you come into arts, you choose your subjects. I'll go through that in a moment with you, and you have that 4 weeks. So that's the structure, and I'll go through how it actually works later on with you. We look a little bit at the entry routes and requirements. We look at the subject groupings. I won't have time to go into in-depth in every subject areas, but I'll mention many of them. And you have an opportunity, of course, to use the question and answering facility that's available to you here to ask questions. Options for study after first year, areas you can specialise in and how you can change degrees if that is something you wish to do. Then we look at the practicalities of third level study, which is a bigger change perhaps than you might imagine it to be. And we'll touch on that. And then that whole vexed question of how do I get a job after you do a degree. So looking then at the start off, a good place to start is how do I get into the degree? For many of our Leaving Certs, they know this very, very well. It's a minimum of 2 higher papers and 4 passes, and usually then English, Irish and a third language. If you are exempt for some reason for a third language, you can have your exemption approved by the NUI, and all those approval forms and exemption forms are available from www.nui.ie, and that exemption form needs to go to the CAO. So when the computer is issuing out the offers, they're not looking for that third language. But generally, if you haven't got an exemption, English, Irish and a third language are required. Now, points vary from year to year. You never quite know what way the points are going to be, because students are inclined sometimes to think that we set the points in the universities, when in actual fact it's the competition that sets the places and offers go through the CAO. So essentially we have 1,600 places in the arts degree, and the 318 points set in 2020, the 2020 rather, I'm garbling my years here, set last year in last September, that's a better way of saying it, okay? Last September 2020 entry, the points were 318. Those are the points of the last individual or the last cohort of people who took the last places on that course. We have students there from all categories of points, from 600 points right down, records which tell us that. If you're not coming in from the Leaving Cert, then we have entry through QQI FETAC. So anybody is deemed eligible to compete if they have been awarded a full award and a minimum of 5 distinctions. Now, the link programs that we have are all available on the website under our How to Apply section in the undergraduate area. And in there, you'll see QQI FETAC. And if you go in there, it'll give you the links we have to those programs. And then you come in based on competition. And then we have a mature student entry, which is through the CAO. It's by assessment of your level of preparedness to come to third level. That's really what the assessments are all about. It's how well prepared you are if you've been out of study for quite a while to come back into what's going to be required to successfully complete a level 8 honours degree. Looking at the degree structure itself then, the degree itself is spread out across a range of subjects. So you have 34 subjects to choose from. And we'll look at the table now in a moment with you. It's sitting here on the next slide, but I'll just go quickly through it with you in a moment. But essentially, you're looking at choosing in first year. Every year, if you see it as 60 credits, and you can divide those credits across 2, 3, or 4 areas, depending on what you want. Now, every subject is 15 credits. Some subjects are available as a 30 credit option, so you could take a double in it. And some subjects are always only available in first year as a 15 credit option. But that is well explained on page 44 and 45 of the undergraduate prospectus, and also available on the website. As I alluded to earlier on, every student who enters the arts degree has 4 weeks to decide on what subjects they might like to choose. And most students coming in will have a good idea. They have a lot of research done and they have a good idea. If you're less certain, you have that opportunity to register for what you want to register for. And then you can visit other lectures if you're physically there, or if you're online mostly, you can ask the departments you're interested in to allow you to attend those lectures as a guest. You have a period of 4 weeks to do that, and then you can actually change what you originally registered for. And that is pretty unique. There's an opportunity to travel abroad through Erasmus and study abroad programs through the international office as well. So it would mean you'd spend 2 years in Maynooth on the BA, you go away somewhere for year 3, you come back in year 4, and that way then you'd be awarded a BA International. So in first year, all of the subject options, you will see something in there called critical skills. Now, every subject, as part of their tutorial sessions, will train you in the world of research in third level. What is the difference between verifiable research and non-verifiable research? What are good source materials and how to utilize them? How to write a good academic essay, give presentations, etc. How to critically analyze a document, how to debate, how to question, and how to develop a critical awareness in you. And in addition to that, we offer particular areas as well on critical skills, which is up to the student whether they wish to take it or not. It's a 15 credit subject, so you can take it as a subject in its own right. About half the students who take arts each year will choose the critical skills option. It's not available in year 2, you would just take it in first year, and it is a continuous assessment module. From year 2 on, you'll be elective modules. Now, what is an elective? Elective is giving you an opportunity to explore a subject area for about 10 credits in an area you haven't studied in your subject area. It's separate to that. You might have an interest in taking a 10 credit elective in a language or IT skills, or it could be in law, it could be in media. There's a whole range of them. And it depends on what subjects you're taking, what fits in your timetable, and that will be built into your choices. But if you are taking that 10 credit elective, then that means you're dropping 10 credits in your subjects that you're taking in second year. And as there may be knock-on effects on that, if you're going into teaching or something specific, it's always good to check that out as to what you're dropping and what might the long-term effects be. So you can seek advice from that, or academic advisors in our career area with admissions, etc. And then in third year, many of our students opt for research programs, bringing the kind of the classroom into a real lived experience for the workplace. And they run many opportunities there for our third years who want to engage and prepare to get a good CV ready, to really be aware of what employers are looking for out there in the marketplace. So what you're looking at here now is the arts timetable itself, and you're looking across 6 groups of subjects. Now, this is all replicated on page 45 of our undergraduate prospectus, and it's also replicated on the website. Now, what that is actually telling you and showing you is what subjects work together. So when you're looking there at group 1, you're looking at subjects like geography, German, law, you're looking at philosophy and the beginning of maths pure. So what you're looking at there is telling you, if I chose geography, for example, I could never take that subject with law because they will always be timetabled together. So it's about, in first year then, it's about making a selection, about choosing only one subject per group to a maximum of 4 to a minimum of 2. And it's up to you how you wish to actually divvy that out. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. It's very much a personal journey. And there are many subjects in here that lead to other pathways. And there's also areas, for example, like teaching. Many students who come in and want to be secondary school teachers will decide to take subjects that are replicated in the secondary school curriculum. Areas like geography or English or history or business or a language, economics, for example, or politics. There's a whole wide range of subjects there. Nua Gaeilge, which is modern Irish language. For those students who perhaps have a huge interest in languages, then you have Spanish, you have French, you have German as well there in Group 1. And you can also take those at beginner's level. If you do that, you have to take them as a 30 credit option. And then we have the advanced streams if you have the grade in the H4 and your Leaving Cert or equivalent. Then you have Chinese Studies, which is open to beginner's level as well for anybody who wishes to take it. Nua Gaeilge, which is modern Irish, and again they don't offer beginner's Irish, so you have to take it at you have to have higher level Irish to take it in first year. Music is in here as well. We do have a separate entry in for music, but if you wish to study music as part of the arts degree, you can take it as a 15 credit subject. It's always sat there in Group 5, that is traditional home, but in the last year we have offered it now as a 30 credit option. You can take it out of Group 2, sitting directly above it. So you can now take a double in music in first year. And for certain students, there are pathways into the BMUS in year 2 if you wish to do that, or you can of course stay in arts taking music and another subject of your choice. Then we have separate entry into business and areas like finance and accounting, but those subjects are also reflected in the arts degree. So in the business section there, you're seeing in Group 2, Business International, Management or Marketing, and you could choose one of those. Those are the 3 areas that are replicated in the broad entry choice MH104 for business. But if you're coming into arts, you can choose one of those streams as well. Now, those are 15 credit option in Group 2. If you wished to have the option of transferring into year 2 business and leaving arts, then the advice is that you take 30 credits in business, you take 15 credits from Group 2, and you take 15 credits from the options in Group 6, which means nothing in Group 6 would be compatible with it. So if you take 30 credits in business in first year with other subjects of your choice, pass all of your first year exams, and then in year 2, if you wish, you can stay in arts taking business and whichever stream you wish to, business and management, marketing or international with your other subject, or you could transfer into year 2 of whatever degree you had actually started, international management or marketing, and you'd exit as a business graduate. We also have a separate entry into the law programme in Maynooth under the MH5 codes. And for students who come into arts, they can also choose law. It's sitting there in Group 1. And if you take 30 credits in law in first year, it's available as a 15 credit option, but if you take 30 of your credits in that with other subjects of your choice, whatever they are, and pass all of your first year exams, then you have the option after year 1, if you wish, to transfer into year 2 law. And that could be year 2 of the 4-year LLB or year 2 of law with accounting if you've chosen it, or law with criminology, or law with one of your arts subjects. The choice is up to you. Or if you've taken 2 other art subjects with it, obviously you can drop your law and continue on with your arts degree. So it gives you that incredible flexibility and choice. We offer criminology as part of the law suite under the MH5 codes, but of course you can also take criminology in arts as a standalone subject with other subjects of your choice. You have subjects in here you may be not that familiar with, like anthropology, sociology, psychological studies, media and cultural studies. And those are subjects that have emerged out of various disciplines, like politics has emerged very much out of the whole kind of sociology, which looks at the role of society and culture, and specifically in Irish society. Anthropology has a broader span, very similar in many ways to sociology, but the broader span will be the whole area of it explores the concept of culture and its formation of the individual and human behaviour in many guises. And these are subjects that are well worth a look at, because it's like everything else, unless you try them out and see, one is never quite sure what is most compatible for yourself when you start third level. You also have then opportunities to take psychological studies. For this one, we have a separate BA in psychology, and we have the BSc in psychology as well. The points tend to be very high because the places are limited because they're accredited programs. But for students who come into the arts program, you can actually choose psychological studies there in Group 6 and with other subjects of your choice, and then continue on if you pass your exams in second and third year, if you pass into second year with psychological studies and another subject of your choice. Now, there is no transfer route into the psychology degree. You need to continue on with psychological studies and another subject for 3 years. And once you've completed the 3-year BA, there is a 1-year master's conversion program that you could apply for. Yes, like all masters, is competitive, but if you get a minimum of 60% grade or above in your psychological studies modules, then you're entitled to apply for the 1-year conversion masters, and that would give you the accreditation. So the degree in psychological studies after 3 years isn't accredited, but if you add on the 1 year top up, it certainly is. For anybody who wishes to transfer into law and business from this degree, again, if you choose law and business, 30 credits of each, those options are available to you. There's a fabulous booklet on the website under the undergraduate section. It's called the MH101 Subject Guide, and it goes subject by subject through the whole timetable here in arts and tell you how all those transfer options will actually work. Anybody who wishes to teach the subject business in secondary school, what I would say to you is business and management is the one you actually need to take. That has been accredited by the Teaching Council of Ireland. So if you take a 30 credit option in business and management in first arts with your other subjects and continue on with business and management in second and third year with your other teaching subject, then, you know, when you come post your PME, if you come to register to teach the subject business, you will have covered sufficient modules to teach business across all the years, both the junior and senior cycle. In terms of technical subjects, you're not spoiled for choice here or maths. You have maths studies, you have your maths pure, and you also have your maths physics. So all of these are very approachable if you wish to do them, especially for maths studies, and you have your maths physics. Maths pure does require higher level maths. It's quite an intense maths course, but anybody who is taken and is comfortable with past maths and leaving certificate can certainly approach mathematical studies and maths physics. And again, anybody who wants to teach mathematics in secondary school curriculum, the mathematical studies maps a lot of, you know, most of the modules, or all the modules rather, that are required by the Teaching Council, and that has been the traditional route chosen by teachers down through the years. In terms of accounting, our accounting there in Group 6, that actually is the Leaving Certificate higher level paper that's taught in first year. And many, many students will take accounting in first year minute. We also have a cohort that take it for the first time, a cohort that will take it having taken past accounting, or some who are just revisiting accounting again. So there, it's open to anybody who has an interest in it. And I would say if you take this year, you can actually take accounting as a double subject if you wish to do that, or you can take it as a 15 credit option. If you wish to open a pathway into our accountancy degrees, such as law with accounting or business and accounting, or finance and accounting after year one, then there's extra modules they actually ask you to take in the second semester. But the department will actually guide you on that if you've taken it and you you wish to approve it, and it's tied into the accreditation that our accountancy degrees give. They give Cap 1 exemptions from for the accountancy bodies. So there's a whole eclectic group of studies here. Media and cultural studies has been taught here now for the last number of years as well. We have a separate media degree for anybody coming in from media. If you're interested in the world of media and communications in our modern world, it's never been more prescient than it is now, as we have all gone through lockdown and continue on kind of only slowly emerging from it. How we communicate in our modern world has become very much to the forefront in the last number of years. Specifically, has always been there, but is never more so forefront to many of us now, more so than ever than it is now. We have a separate entry into the media degree, but we also have it in arts. Now, doing it through arts, there's no practicals involved. The practicals in terms of working in radio and television work are only associated with working on the media degree, so do be aware of that. There are many subjects here I haven't touched on, like philosophy, like geography itself, and again, beginner's geography is, you can take geography for the first time, like you're doing physical and cultural and social geography as well. And for anybody who wishes to teach the subject geography, it's an ideal choice for you. But yes, business areas, geography, economics, finance, all those areas are totally approachable for the first time. All you need is an interest in the subject areas and that you actually want to follow it through. Then you have the cultural subjects like the older studies such as Greek and Roman civilization, which will give you the foundations of our culture and our society if you're interested in literature, history, philosophy, etc. And you have the medieval Irish and cultural studies as well. So you're spoiled for choice in the arts degree. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot of choices to make. There's no right or wrong choice. It's all boiling down to personal choice. Following successful completion of first year, if anybody's interested in teaching, you have the professional masters for primary schools, school teaching and for secondary school teaching. For secondary school teaching, then the ideal route really is 2 teaching subjects to the degree. You can do it with 1 teaching subject. Mostly, traditionally, students would take 2 teaching subjects to degree level and then apply for the professional masters as a postgraduate applicant. We also have the PME for primary school teaching. Now, going into for primary school teaching, you have it available on the campus, but there's many other areas you can avail of it as well. So anybody who has a level 8 honours degree and can fulfil the requirements for Irish, English and mathematics, so the grade in Irish still goes away, it doesn't disappear just because you're doing it as a graduate applicant. And for that entry, there's always an interview, not for secondary school teaching, but there is for primary school teaching, and it's it's as Gaeilgeoch as as Béarla. So fluency in the Irish is certainly something that would be required and expected. In terms of people staying in arts, if you can, after year 1, decide whether you're going to take 2 subjects to degree level, double major, usually the area of choice for most students. On occasion, students will decide to do a single major. And again, there's no right or wrong of this. This is personal choice. And you can do single majors in areas such as English. You can do a single major in geography, in history, in anthropology, if you wish to do that. So be aware there's single major options in there, or there's major minor. Now, what's that? Every year, as I said to you, is 60 credits. So when you go into a double major, it's 30-30. When you're doing single major, you're taking all your credits in one area. But if you're doing a major minor, it's a 40-20 split. And again, you have all of those options available to you on the website. It'll tell you what's offering, what departments are participating in minor and major, and it's in the prospectus as well. So there's nothing kept hidden. All that information is there. So after year 1, in terms of your options and availability to you, the transfer options that I've mentioned are there. And can I draw your attention as well to that booklet, that course booklet on the website? It's the MH101 Art Subject Guide. It's under the section for undergraduate publications, prospectus. It's all in there. And there's a digital version online, and it goes subject by subject. It'll tell you if there's grades you need to achieve, how to transfer into X, Y, and Z. But the common transfers will be into areas with accounting, with business, finance or law, business and management, marketing, international, to enter into year 2 of those degrees. Programming I didn't mention. We do have computer science obviously available in the arts degree. And if you take that with maths in first year, and then you can actually transfer into computer science and software engineering year 2 if you wish to do that. But you can, of course, stay within arts as well. Finance, there's transfers out of that if you wish to, if you've taken economics and finance in first year. International finance and economics is a route to it. The law programs I have mentioned, and there are opportunities to transfer into the single honours BMOs for students who wish to avail of it as well. There are areas then you can specialise in. So you can stay in arts doing your double honour, some areas as you see here in single major. So it's giving you an opportunity to go in and kind of really define what it is you want to do in anthropology, in classics, if you take Greek and Roman civilization, one of the languages like Latin and Greek, English, history, international, you can see them all written here. So basically it's giving students an opportunity to come in on a broad base and initially give you 4 weeks to decide. Then you decide again after year 1. And as you go through the degree then, once you've had a really good introduction to these subjects, you're much more aware of your talent, skills and interests, and you're kind of more or less guided by those talent, skills and interests. And I'm not saying you're ignoring the jobs market either and being aware of that, but in terms of what it is you want to specialise in, what it is you wish to focus on, with the view perhaps to postgraduate research and study as well. In terms of making the change from secondary school into third level, this is a bigger change than many people realise. And the biggest change is that once you have finished your Leaving Cert or you've finished QQI level 5, you are at level 5 on the National Framework of Qualifications. Many of you will be aware of that. And that is seen very much as a gateway qualification. For many, it might be out into the world of work and training. There's so many opportunities out there at the moment. But for many people who pursue third level qualifications, they're going from level 5 genuinely up to level 8. So the teaching methodology changes, how we operate changes. Otherwise, if we teach you the same way as you'd be normally taught, up to that point, you stay at level 5. So level 8 teaching puts a greater demand on engagement from the students. So the reality is, for every hour you attended a lecture, Unsupervised, they expect you to have the interest, the passion and engagement to follow that up with about 3 hours reading and research yourself. Now, you don't have to find out what that reading is about. The lecturers will have provided you with course outlines. They will have given you reading material, reading lists. They suggest books you have to buy, suggest references you can use in the library. You are supported, and lectures are available to access via email. And if you're on campus and that is allowed under the health conditions, you can actually pop in on their office hours. But they are very, very supportive of our students. And you also have opportunities to talk to your program advisors, academic advisors. You'll have an opportunities to talk to your first year coordinator. There are supports there. But the whole idea of training you on a level 8, to give you that level 8 graduate profile, is to train you how to take responsibility for your own work. You're working in a 26, 28 week year. Now in Maynooth, our exams are based in January, and in April, in May rather. You finish up your lectures in April and you have your exams in May. And the results are just coming out at the moment from first year exams. So essentially you're doing a block of study, then you're examined. You do a block of study and then you're examined. So it's fast paced and it's furious. You also have to remember to meet deadlines. So every department will tell you, and every module you're doing will have an essay of some kind or an assessment of some kind to hand in. And those deadlines are quite strict. In school, and perhaps prior to this, there's a flexibility on deadlines. There is, to a point in some of the departments, if there's an illness or a really good reason why you need an extension, you can seek an extension to that. But it has to be put in place before the time. Ideally, they would prefer you to meet your deadlines. If you submit work late without having had a discussion with somebody about seeking that extra time, then there will be penalties of reducing your marks per day you're late. Why? Because in the world of work, to act and behave as a professional, you're expected to meet your deadlines, meet your targets, and not be late. So those differences take a while to adjust to. And yes, you will need to have a good timetable. But we find, by and large, students who are doing best are the ones who put the most research in. And because what really carries you through is your drive, your energy, and your ambition for the subjects that you actually want to do yourself. Will you like 100% of your degree? No, that's rarely possible. These degrees are very, very broad scoped. And the whole idea is that if you like 75 to 80% of it, you're doing really, really well. So what about the other material? Well, if you're going to be awarded as a level 8 qualification, the HEA has an expectation of a graduate who've covered a particular area to have an awareness of these specific things. You don't have had to excel in them, but you need to have had exposure in the research to them. And that is just the way things work. So there's no ideal job contract, there's no ideal anything. The ideal degree for you, if you have really engaged with the content, 75 to 80% of it is really, really appealing to you. That is more or less the rule of thumb. How difficult is it? The reality is it's about being self-aware. The CAO journey is very much like holding a mirror up to yourself. What type of a learner are you? Coming into computer programming, a lot of students are quite surprised to find that it's quite mathematically orientated. Our areas like music technology will have a component in there that will be computer programming. What are your interests? Are you somebody who likes a whole range of research and essay writing? I mean, apart from maths and the technical subjects that we've looked at briefly there in arts, you can expect to write a lot of essays, do a lot of reading and a lot of research in an arts degree. And that's kind of the tenor of the way things work. It's all about critical analytical ability, the world of research and engagement, and developing more and more strategies whereby you become secure in stating your arguments and being able to say why. So that level of difficulty really boils down to self-awareness. Are you choosing things that suit how you like to learn? Like people who end up in difficulty with degrees come in with little awareness of themselves or what's required of them on the course. So that research word that you have heard in school all of your life, that is key to success at third level, to being aware of yourself and what the degree will demand of you, and making sure you keep up with your work. And attendance at lectures, contrary to what you might be told, is absolutely, very, very vital part of all of that. Quality of university experience. Now, what's that about? Now, we're currently in the pandemic, but that is not how we have lived our norm. I've been in the university for 20 years. That isn't the norm experience of students. Student life is a whole eclectic mix of busyness of working as student ambassadors, being involved in clubs and societies, being involved in sports, organising events. All of that, of course, was, robbed in many ways from students this year, but that will be coming back in vogue again. And if you think of every university, there's the pillar of academia and there's the pillar of university life. And this is what university experience is all about. And it's what employers want to hear about. When you go for an interview, they want to talk to you about you, your skills, what you've learned on your journey, what you have engaged with, what were you doing for 3 or 4 years or maybe more? Did you go on a study abroad program? If you have the funding and can afford all of that, do look into it. But, be actively aware. Be aware there's a CV to be written up, and every college you go to is a microcosm of the real world. So find out about it in the fairs days, student engagement, students union. Our students are amazing and they really are very supportive of each other. So it not only is a great way of having fun and making friends, but it's a fantastic way of upskilling on your journey through the degree and out the other end. So we hear time and again, and even before I came on to you today, where we're getting questions, what employment opportunities if I study business and arts as to oppose the pure degree. There's a lot of fallacy associated with degrees that have a title from the start. It's a business degree as opposed to an arts degree. And in actual fact, it's not the reality. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of arts graduates, and I'm one of them, who are working quite happily in lots of areas of work out there in the real world, who've come through that arts route. And there's an association with somehow or another, how you get a job is based on your degree. Yes, as a graduate, you have a greater opportunity to go out there and compete. Yes, as a graduate, you certainly do have skill sets you won't have from a level 5 qualification. But that isn't just the only thing you'll need to secure that contract. You have to impress at the interview. So that university journey, the life experience you've had and been able to create for yourself, how impassioned you are, how interested, how well prepared you are for the interview, how well your folio and your portfolio and yourself fit this job description, and how convincing you are that somebody is worth investing you. So no matter what your qualification, the world of work and employment is a broader span than people actually realize. Now, there are areas of work that require specific qualifications, like if you want to be a chartered accountant, if you want to be a primary school teacher or a secondary school teacher, if you want to work in the world of programming and be an IT specialist, there are subject areas one has to choose for those particular roles. But by and large, for the greater entity of the workplace, it's the graduate profile that's the most important thing, and the experience in the interview and how well prepared you are for that interview process. Be under no illusions about that. So, like everything else, people want the guarantees. But when I'm working with students over the years, the one guarantee you can give yourself is how well prepared you come in and how well engaged you are through that whole process when you're in third level. And that fit is all down to the research and the knowledge you build up for yourself on that journey through the program. Okay, so I'm going to stop speaking now, and I'm going to invite the lovely Nicole to actually come along and chat to us, because Nicole has the most invaluable experience of all of us here today. Nicole has come through the arts degree and has survived it, haven't you, Nicole? You're on mute there at the moment.
I have, yeah, I've survived it.
So you've actually survived it, which is a good thing to see. And you see you're still smiling, so you obviously enjoyed it. So would you like to tell the audience here who gathered, all 88 of them, why you chose arts and what your journey has been?
Of course, yeah. Thanks, Kay. So I guess my journey at looking at the arts degree started when I truly decided that I wanted to be a teacher, and that's a decision you have to come to. First of all, if that is obviously your choice, is what career choices are you looking at? And I'll come back to it later as to how that can even change. Like the career you start off thinking about might change throughout your university degree because you are exposed to so many different strands of the subjects you choose. But I'll talk a bit more about that in a few minutes. So yeah, whenever I decided to be a teacher, I looked at loads of different ways of doing it, straight through with those 5-year degrees that you can do in various institutions. But I just wasn't sure what subjects I wanted to do. I really liked a lot of my subjects at school and I just wasn't sure. So when my guidance counselor told me about the arts program, and Kay actually came in to talk to me when I was in 6th year and we weren't living in an online world, I just thought that it sounded ideal. to be honest, because it meant that I had 4 weeks at the start to really try out some of these subjects and see what drew me in, what I really wanted to stick with. So I entered first year and I chose a bit of a wild few subjects to start with. So I went for New Gaeilge, Irish, computer science, and psychology. So 3 very different things there going on, because I just wasn't sure what I really thought. And even though computer science and psychology weren't directly linked to teaching, I thought I might have a go with them because it's always been an interest of mine. And I thought if there was ever a time to find out if any of these other interests were potentially where I wanted to go, this was the time to do it. So I realized after about 2 to 3 weeks that computer science really didn't suit me, and it wasn't what I expected it to be. So I started going along with one of my flatmates to her geography lectures, and I thought they were fantastic. So I made the decision at that point that I wanted to switch. Psychology was going well at the time, but it clashes, or it used to clash with geography. I don't know if it still does, just looking here. But it clashed with geography, I believe, when I was in first year anyway. And that meant I had to change out of that. And I changed to critical skills, and it was probably one of the best decisions I made because it was fantastic. I really enjoyed the critical skills course. I wouldn't be here and have gotten the arts degree without the referencing skills and whatnot that I learned from it, because it's honestly fantastic. I would have been lost without it. So after a couple of weeks of changing around, and I did visit some other lectures. I think I sat in on some history ones and things like that, but geography really stole me. So I went with Irish and geography and critical skills. So I was doing my double in geography and then a single in Irish and a single in critical skills for the year. So coming to the end of first year, typically then you have to make your decision as to whether to go into your double major, major minor, things like that. And you can't take critical skills further than first year. So it definitely suited me to do the double major in Irish and geography because I knew that that left my teaching path open to me if that's still what I wanted to do. So in summary, choosing arts was basically because it was so suitable to the teaching path that I was pretty sure I wanted to go down. But it also had some freedom with it that I got to look at some other areas of interest. And it just really helped me in deciding what I wanted to do. And, you know, I was talking about this on one of the TikToks that I done a couple of days ago. If any of you are following the Ministeo TikTok, is that like you could do 4 single strands of subjects, of 4 different subjects, even 4 that you've done at school. And then at the end of the year, you can decide which 2 you think you have the most potential in and go on with them. And I think that's a really valuable experience you can get by doing a year of 4 things you're interested in and then choosing 2 that you either enjoyed the most or maybe did the best in, whatever you think yourself at the end of the year. And obviously that's just quite unique for a program in college to have the opportunity to trial things for almost a year. So yeah, that's why I chose arts. Getting into the subjects then, I'm really glad I shopped around. And as I say, ended on Irish, geography and critical skills. And I changed into them by just filling out some stuff online, and they really help you with that at your orientation, and they show you how to do that. And even if maybe you were confused, whoever you're living with, or you'll bump into someone, or there could be people helping with these kinds of things on campus, and you'll get there, you'll get it changed. It's quite simple to email someone or to just do the form online. So I know when I met people when we were on campus for the open days, they were kind of scared of how do you change out of a whole subject, but it's not as hard as it sounds. So then continuing on with Irish and geography, I did definitely lose kind of the thought process of going down the teaching pathway, despite that being something I've always wanted to do. Because both of those subjects, Irish and geography, when I went into my double major, had so much choice. Like you get to choose your modules every year, and it opens your mind up to so many different things. With Irish, you get to look at like studying dialects and things like that. And most languages have, studies of dialects and pronunciation and all this stuff that's just so interesting that you're like, you could easily go in and research things like that, or go into like certain translation jobs. With geography is such a broad subject, even from physical and human. And then once you go into that, you have so many different things. Like my geography program throughout the past 3 years has had me doing everything from running a mock US election with one of my lecturers in final year, and that the pandemic came in the middle of that, to like, we studied kind of geographies of medicine and looking at like diseases across the world. Like there's just so much going on in all these subjects that you don't get the opportunity to look at in school, because you're only in school for a set amount of time. But in college, you really get to explore it. And then that could open your mind to wanting to do something different. So you definitely do dabble around, but you have time to decide on these things, and the right choice will come to you then by the end. So in final year, then I decided to apply to the course I'm currently in, the PME, so the Professional Masters of Education. I knew I had my requirements, because for geography, if you do the double in first year, you have your requirements, which was so nice, because once I had my requirements in first year, I got to do whatever I want for second and third year, because I didn't have to sit calculate and do I have enough of all these different types of geography. I just had them all done in first year. And with Irish, you kind of just get them done over the years, because different types of literature, and with the Irish program, they're always trying to expose you to different types of literature to expand your knowledge, so that those credits were easily met as well. So I applied for the PME knowing that I had my subjects secured, and was delighted to find out that I got in. And basically here I am, Professional Masters of Education post-primary. And the beauty of that, I suppose, is that it's a professional master's, and not professional in that we're very formal or anything, profession as in career. So it's like geared towards actually teaching and going into the education sector. And that's really key to the whole studies. And it's very different to your undergraduate degree, but it's important that that difference is there. My favorite part currently is probably placement, because we get to go to placement every single week, and it's just really valuable to go to college for 3 days and then apply what you learn on the other 2 days, and you get to see what works for you and what works for your students. And I think that it's a great way of doing it, rather than doing blocks at various times of the year. Personally, I just like being in every week, and it makes you feel really welcome in the school. So yeah, the only thing I didn't mention there, I just have it jotted down beside me, is that I also did an elective. So Kay briefly mentioned the electives, and I did one. It was like working creatively in groups and teams, and it was fantastic. I actually can't remember the logic behind choosing it. I remember wanting to do an elective and I'm so glad I chose that one, because I really did learn about working in a team. And now in my PME, I'm always in groups, like all the time. We do essays in groups, we do posters, we do presentations, we do everything. We even have a group thesis next year, which is kind of scary, but I have that elective on my side, which hopefully will help me get through it. And yeah, and also, team teaching is such a huge thing. And like, you obviously are sixth years, you probably have seen, well, a lot of you are sixth years, you've probably seen over the past like 2 to 3 years, even, that there's more classes that you have 2 teachers in your room, and that's really valuable as well. So if you're hoping to be a teacher, all this like group work experience is key. So yeah, I welcome any questions about anything that I just said into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screens, and I'll get to you.
Actually, Nicole, there's a question there. Could you explain an elective? You've just explained it, but if you could just say it again, that what an elective is.
Yeah, so in second year, usually in the arts program, you can choose like a different stream of a completely different interest area. There's loads of different things, like you can do the beginners levels of different languages. You can do kind of less traditional subjects like what I did, working creatively in groups and teams, and there's different things like skills for success. There's some on film and media, being creative digitally. There's so many different ones, and they're all listed on the website, but I really liked mine. It's just a 5-credit module in each semester, so it comes out of your main subject. So it meant that in first semester I did one less geography module, and in second semester I did one less Irish. And that can be nice as well, to kind of not be continuously working on what you've been doing mainstream. It can be
Absolutely.
nice to just have a bit of a break and to focus more on your mainstream, but have this kind of almost more fun module for, or 2 modules throughout the year, because mine especially was really fun, because like half the time it was like, let's play games for an hour and then analyze what we done,
Yeah.
because that's what it was, like trying to figure out how we worked as a team. But obviously, depending on which one you choose, that will differ. But a lot of them are kind of designed to be really, I suppose, creative, and to open you up to different strands of education that you can get into.
Absolutely, great idea. And can I just say it's completely optional, that students don't
Yes.
have to do an elective. You can choose to do an elective. And it was in response to students who just wanted a bit of variety in their degree. And like, this is where people say, how does it prepare you for employment? When you think of all of the engagement you had on that, it added that dimension to you, where you could see yourself working with a team, collaborating on something that would happen in an area of your work. Now, I know you're going the teaching route, but for any area of employment out there, engagement, collaboration, working as a team as well as working on your own is all very much part and parcel of the work experience. So sometimes you've got to see the skill sets surrounding a subject you're actually studying, and not just the study area itself. Thank you very much, Nicole. In terms of accommodation, how did you fare out when you were actually a student in Maynooth? Were you on or off campus?
For first year, I was on campus. I stayed in the Rye apartments and I really liked them. And then in second and third year, I lived off campus in a house with some friends.
Lovely.
I was about 20, yeah, I was about a 20-minute walk away, and that's pretty standard, because I remember when I was researching it before I got in, the summer before first year, and I was like, 20-minute walk, like that's crazy, but it's really, really not. That's the norm. And now currently I'm also in a house off campus in Maynooth.
Um, there was a question in there in terms of, are they exams like secondary school exams? Now, you have just finished lots of exams over years and years. So do you want to say, are they like secondary school exams? What way are university exams? What are they like?
I think they're quite different, because I feel like in
Yeah,
secondary school
they are.
it's just set curriculum, and like, a lot of the times, even I can give you both ends of the perspective here, is like, I was obviously in school and gave all my students tests this year, and we select them from like exam papers and stuff like that, and we go back and we look at what they've done and what they were strong in and what they weren't, and it's very kind of personal to pick out those questions. Whereas in college, it it can be a lot more creative, and it can be a lot more like, they didn't just pick this from a past paper. It's something that they looked into that year. And with lecturers as well, they get very creative with their modules, because it's what they're interested in. So they can change around what they do year on and can adapt it to what's happening in the world. So your questions in your exams can be completely different. Even each year that the lecture runs the module. So it's quite hard to stick with like something that's come up all the time. But what you
Yeah.
can rely on there, I suppose, is it's definitely something you've done in the past couple of months. Whereas in secondary school, you could be asked, like, for your junior cert, you're building up 3 years of information there. 3 years of information, whereas
I
in
know.
college, a couple of months, and it's just very different the way that you learn it as well. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. There was an anxiety there in one of the questions I had a quick look at while you were chatting. Would you not be afraid of losing the knowledge? You don't have to actually choose those electives at all. Be aware of that. This is to give you a choice. The only reason why you'd have to check about dropping a module to take an elective is if it was required for going into teaching. If it was for any other area of work, it wouldn't matter in the least. In actual fact, the more you can add in terms of variety and engagement and experience, will be of high value to your employer, and enrich your experience at third level. So this isn't as cut and dried and linear as people think. Apart from thinking like watching accreditation for accounting, or watching teaching accreditation, or that type of area, really the whole idea is to add in experience
mhm.
into you in terms of exposure to a wide range of study. It's not a case of ticking boxes. It's about a case of giving you the broadest experience we can. And that's kind of the foundation principle of the arts degree. Rose, you've been very busy answering lots and lots of questions there while we've been just chatting. So is there a kind of a thematic there that you want to talk to us? We can chat about these questions rather than you typing away there. You're on mute there at the moment, Rose.
they're actually very general,
Yeah.
and they're very specific to the individual who's asking the
Okay.
question.
Fair
So
enough.
there's nothing like, there's another question there, Nicole. What subjects did you exceed and enjoy the most in secondary school? And they're saying thank you and good luck with your PME. So I'll let you answer that one.
Oh, thanks so much. I was quite academic at school. So I did like generally want to do really, really well at everything. I was just a bit like that. But I was always good at Irish because I was born in a Gaeltacht area and brought up through Irish. So I was quite naturally advanced at Irish. I actually hated geography at school. I hated it so much. And then I loved it when I went to the lectures in the first 2 weeks of the arts program, and it drew me in. And now I really, really like it. Like, I hesitated going into geography, doing a master's in research in geography instead of teaching. Like, it can be completely different. So it doesn't actually really matter, in my opinion, what you were good at or not in school, because I ended up doing the subject I probably liked least as my degree, and now is probably one of my favorite parts of my whole like educational experience. So it really doesn't matter, but I definitely was strongest in Irish, English, and like history. I was not very good at math. I was pretty good at science in my junior years, but I took biology for senior and I wasn't very good at biology either. But I was definitely more humanities, arts focused, in that I was good at English, Irish, history, that kind of stuff.
And here's another question. Is it possible to find a part-time job? And kind of, is it possible? Where would you look? I'm actually after dropping that one on you now.
That's okay. Yeah, I know it depends. So a lot of my friends had part-time jobs in some of the local businesses, like restaurants, cafes, bars, whatever. And if you obviously have experience from home, you can bring that in and decide to do that in Maynooth, or you can travel home and do your own thing in your hometown at the weekend. So that can differ. But in terms of like on campus and having a part-time job, like I have been part-time kind of working for the admissions office for a couple of years now. So before COVID, I would have done campus tours every single week, and I would do social media and stuff like that while we were on campus as well. And at the minute, obviously, it's all online. So doing webinars like this, I was on Instagram all morning giving you a campus tour, and I make TikToks from time to time. So that kind of job is really suitable for me because I'm quite busy and I like to do kind of volunteer work and stuff in college. But it's nice when there's opportunities like this one, and that's not me plugging it because I'm sitting here. It's genuinely the experience I've had. But other than that, other than that as well, they look for orientation leaders every year. So there's like a month of work for students to do in like September, where you're like helping first years come in, giving them a campus tour for their first week, but then you can be around campus areas just answering questions for like 2 to 3 weeks, and that's available if you aren't looking for something like for the whole year. And then there's loads of opportunities. There's working for the residences, you can get in there. The SU has an operations team that you can look into, and you can contact them about it. They have loads of different roles between their shop and bar to like administrative staff. So yeah, there's loads of opportunities.
Thanks, Nicole. Nicole, there's a question in here that has no direct right or wrong answer to it, but if you want to give it a shot, and don't worry if you've nothing to say on it, what advice would you give to people who are still deciding on which college to go to? And what advice would you give for first years?
Okay. The college one is hard because if you don't
It's
recognize the
impossible.
accent, if you don't recognize the accent though, like I am from Donegal, and the only open day I went to before choosing like doing my CAO was the Letterkenny IT, and I knew like that wasn't what I wanted to do because there wasn't anything there that interested me, but it was the only college I had seen. And like Maynooth was actually second in my CAO because the first was like a straight teaching option in another institution, and I didn't get the points for it, so I got into Maynooth. And the reason, even whenever I was like, I know what I want arts to be like second, third, and so on, and then sure, every institution does arts. And for me, I had a look at all of the websites, and I was drawn to Maynooth because I thought it was quite friendly, and I looked at like the social media and I thought that everything was very welcoming about it. But it's wherever you're drawn to. Like someone could look at another institution and think the same. And then again after that is one of my classmates was going to Maynooth and nobody else was going anywhere outside of Donegal. And I was like, okay, well, if I am going to end up going to like an arts program, I would like to be with someone that I knew. And now like we've been together for 4 years this whole time. And that was really important. Now it's not the be all and end all. And like if you come to college without any friends, that's okay as well. And you make friends so easily. But if there's someone that you know that is coming to an institution where you can do the program you want, that might be something you're interested in. Because I was really anxious to go. And now I'm here 4 years. I live in Maynooth all the time and it's a breeze, but it wasn't always like that.
And the second part of that question, it had actually two parts. And Rose, I'm not allowing you to open your mouth here, sorry. Was actually, what advice would you give to first years? I think the question really would be about what would you not do in first year? What is the best thing to do in first year? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I think that the best thing I did in first year was talk, honestly, because I was really quiet. I was really anxious.
Yeah.
But like the singular thing that started the friend group that I've had for college was that I was in critical skills and a girl came in and said, does anyone have any makeup? I was just called into work. I'm stuck. And I was like, yeah, I live on campus. And boom, like me becoming friends with her and one other girl who she was friends with led to my whole friend group coming together through so many different ways of people knowing each other through their other subjects or bumping into people in my residences block or whatever. So honestly, like just like kind of showing that you're friendly and stuff like that is key. So another thing then is like, you know, if you're in the same residence block as someone and you notice you're going out to lectures at the same time and stuff, like speaking to them then and being like, oh, are you going to that geography lecture? I'm going there too, let's sit together. Like, because you're all in the same boat, you're all in first year, and if you say hello to someone one day and they say hello to you the next day and you gradually work up the conversation, you're doing each other a favor. It's not like, oh my god, I shouldn't be speaking to them, they probably are too cool for me. That's not how it is. You're all in the same boat. You're all in the exact same situation. So nearly don't get too fixated on you and what you're doing and what you're feeling, because everyone else is too. So if you just be friendly and act the way you hope someone else is to you, then you're gonna be fine.
That's excellent advice. Yeah. That's absolutely excellent advice. Is there anything else cropping up there, Rose?
Can I just add to that, Kay?
What?
Yeah, can I just add to that in terms of what
first
years should do? They should reach out to the support services that are there to help them. You know, it's not to be on their own. And if they're struggling or if they have a question, always ask the question, preferably from the support services, because sometimes if you ask it of one of your peers, you may not get the correct answer, you know. And if you don't want to come into an office, you know, when we're on campus, just send an email, you know, and we will get back to you, whether it's academic advisory, program advisory, student support, student help, whatever it is. Even the lecturers themselves, they're there, they have consultation hours, and they're there to help you achieve your potential and to get the best degree at the end of your 3 or 4 years, depending on how long you stay with us for.
I couldn't agree with you more, Rose, because there's a growing tendency for first years especially not to use math support, not to use academic writing support, because somehow we will look at them and say, oh, well, look at that student now, they're not performing that well. That actually is the opposite of what happens. If students seek support, tell people they need to understand more, visit lectures, talk to lecturers, they actually see it as your interest in the area. It's a kudos, it's a plus to do it, not a minus.
Absolutely.
So, this is a completely different form of teaching than second level, and you've got to get out of the second. It's going to take years because you've been in that mind frame for a long, long time. So trust in the process, because we're there to help, assist, and support, and we spend millions on this stuff every year. So we wouldn't be doing it if we didn't actually see it as a value. So please see third level as a friendly environment who's there to assist you in any way we can to get you the best experience and to get you the best degree you can possibly achieve in your time in that area. But you have to swim. You have to get in there and swim with the channel.
Yeah, and put your hand up when you need help. Put your hand up when you need help. Like, you know, if you go to a lecture and you haven't a clue what's just been taught or what's been said during that lecture, reach out to the lecturer, contact them via email, or, you know, when we're on campus, you can go up to them at the end of the lecture and speak to them, send them an email, or all lecturers have consultation hours. So, you know, that's what they're there for, and that's what the support services are there for, to help you get that best degree, and it's really, it's frowned on if you don't use the support services to a certain extent, because if you're in a situation at the end of the year and you fail and you haven't used the writing support center, you haven't used the math support center, you failed your computer science because you didn't use the computer science help center, they're all there to help you get through. So, there's no point at the end of the year when these services are not running during the summer months and you're facing supplemental or repeat exams saying, well, where can I get help? They're there for you during the academic year. So use them, and don't be embarrassed. Don't be afraid. Just put your hand up and say, I need help. And that's what we're all there for, to help you.
Absolutely.
And on
sorry, go ahead there. Sorry.
I was just going to say, on the point of speaking to lectures, I was terrified of going up and speaking to a lecture, like terrified. But I can see in my transcript from my arts degree, when I started speaking to my lectures, I can see where my grades just started going up, because whenever I voiced at all to them, like if I went up to them just to ask a simple question, from there on out, they'd even say to you at the end of the class, like, check in, and it makes you kind of feel more like you can just continuously speak to them. Until then, you're building relationships with the staff and the department, and it's just easier from there on out to just clarify something with the lecture. And like, some of them are just like, they want nothing more, most of them want nothing more than for you to succeed, and they will help you in whatever way they can. So genuinely, like halfway through the whole degree, you can just see where the grades start to go up, because I started talking to my lecturers more.
What is the club?
Just had a comment in.
Go ahead, Rose.
Just a comment in there from a mature student who said they've completed the week-long essay writing course, and they recommend the support of the Writing Centre to all students. So definitely, if you need help writing an essay, use the Writing Centre. And I suppose the essay you wrote in second level is very different to the essay you're going to write in third level. So, reach out from day one, and if you don't reach out and don't use the support, and you get feedback on your first assignment or on that first essay, go and talk to the staff in the Writing Support Centre. They're all available online currently, and we all hope that we'll be back on campus, pandemic allowing us, in the next academic year. So it's very, very important, use the supports. That's what we're there for.
Absolutely. And one final question, because we're over time now as it is, but it doesn't matter. There's nothing, we're not delaying anybody from anything. Nicole, they're asking, is there any particular area that club, that you would recommend for students to join? Again, there's no right answer here either.
Yeah, I dabbled around in many clubs and societies, mainly societies, I have to admit. So the difference is clubs are more sports orientated. I am not sports orientated, so I definitely was more the society side of things, and I got very involved with volunteer work. The two societies that I mainly stuck with, like you can try out loads, but most people have like 2 to 3, maybe even just the one that they end up focusing on, maybe getting involved in the committee, stuff like that. And my two was the literary and debating society. So particularly the debating side was what interested me, and I'd never done it before, and I took part in the maidens competition. So it's competition just for beginners. And they also do like table topics, which is just anyone can speak whenever, and then they do proper debates from time to time that you can sign up to. But even though I was on committee, I rarely spoke at like the debates that we set up, because I didn't have to. Like, it's not a necessary part. I just enjoyed it so much that I came along all the time, and I learned so much, and then I was good for committee to run their social media, and that's just how it worked. The second one then was the Access Society, because I came in through the HERE program. So if anyone is coming through any of the Access programs and gets to go to Launchpad, which I'm repping as well, then the Access Society is there for all Access students, and it's literally just a society where you get to have a bit of crack and meet other students who came through other Access pathways as well. And it's even open to non-Access students. If you just some of my friends didn't come through Access, but have a lot of friends who did and were part of the society and came to all the events. It's just a bit of fun. So I really, really liked it. But I also went to events with Mental Health Society, Game Society, Disney Society. Like, I've done loads of them. Tea Society, they're all great, to be honest. Have a look at the MU clubs and societies, Instagrams and stuff like that, like on the website New
And
Life.
don't forget the trampoliners and the jugglers and the fun stuff. So
Yeah.
there literally is something for everybody. And I'm not just saying that. I sound like Ryan Turbiddy off the Late Late Show. It literally is a case of, and if there's a society, that tea society you just mentioned, that was set up by a student from Kerry a good few years ago who decided to set it up. So she got capitation from the Students' Union, set it up, and won the best society of the year that year, because it was the first it was a real new thinking society. Nobody had ever thought of it. But of course, tea drinking society sounds like hilarious. Students in school laugh when I say that there's a tea drinking society. But what it did was promoted what you've been talking about all evening, Nicole, is the whole area of chatting. They stand around with a cup of tea, and what do? You chat, you engage. What do I do? But has anybody heard, or does anybody know? And all of a sudden you have a group of friends made around the tea trolley.
Yes.
Yep. And you're networking, and it also gives
and you can network.
and it gives you, I suppose, a sounding board for people who are in the same class or the same subject, because if you didn't understand something, if you ask your peers, they're able to help you, and it gives you a different perspective sometimes, and gives you, when you start talking about a subject with one of your peers, they might have a totally different take on what the lecturer had said, and it gives you, something to think about.
Exactly.
And even if you meet someone who's like the year above you in your subject, who can help you recommend new modules for the next year, is fantastic. Like, I spend a couple of hours most summer like responding to people in the year below me of what modules to do, because it's so helpful to have a student view of a module.
Great, that's super. There was one question there, and if the attendee is still there, was about what points do you get on here and there. There's up to, I typed back, but just let me explain to you. It's not cut and simple of the 60 points. Everybody thinks you have an additional 60 points. What it actually works is our intake each year is 5% of the whole university. So for every degree then there's a 5% allocation. So if you've applied for primary school teaching under here or there are 90 places available, and you become a 5% group competing for places in that. So it depends then, 5% of 90, you're competing for the places on there, and it depends on the person you're competing with under the here and there scheme, how close they are to the points. They can give you flexibility of up to 60. Some people might need 3 points, some people might need 4, others might need 25, some people might need the whole 60, but it depends. So every here and there applicant are competing within their own subset of the degree. That's actually how it works out. So there's a false kind of assumption, if I get a here or there place, that's an extra 60 points. It's a flexibility up to within your own area, just to be aware of that. I hope that's clear.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So we're up against time here. The questions have all been cleared. So we want to thank you very much, Rose. You've got lots of compliments coming in there, and thanking everybody, thanking you for your fantastic answers as always, and your care for them while I was waffling on the slides. Nicole, thank you very much for all your insights. As always, when we hear from the students, we learn so much, because you're literally at the ground level, and it's like all academics and staff working there, the student experience is the real experience, because you're going through it in live time. And can I wish you every success. I think you've 100% chosen correctly. I can see you working amazingly in the world of education. You're an excellent communicator, so thank you very much for making yourself free today to attend. I really do appreciate that. Rose, as always, what would I do without you? Thank you so much. These are all just thank yous coming in. No, I'm actually serious. It sounds so vacuous, but thank you. I could never do it on my own. And your insights and your knowledge, I always will bow to that, Rose. We're
a team, Kay. We're a team. We're a team.
Not at all. Not at all. You're the Diane of all knowledge in there. Absolutely. So thank you very much, everybody. I do appreciate all your help and support. So take care, be safe, and to all of you who are still in attendance, we thank you very much. This recording will be saved, it will be converted, and when we get a chance, we'll put all of this material online so you can view the recordings back in your own time. In the meantime, slán agus beannacht. Thank you very much for your attention today. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.